And suppose we do nothing. I have heard you in interviews talk about Northern Ireland as a parallel potentially. Are you really talking about sectarian violence as a potential? What drove you to write right now with such urgency?
I did spend 3 years as the U.S. envoy to Northern Ireland. Then I had a second tour as the international mediator there, uh, both unblemished, shall we say, by great success. But we'll put that aside. And what worries me is that lasting political differences could give way to violence, particularly coming back to where we began. If people see their rights in absolute terms, they're not willing to compromise. You have gridlock. And then if one side gets what it wants, the other side, by definition, would have nothing. And then what? What happens to those who feel that the system is rigged against them? They get nothing. They feel they'll have nothing to lose. I think they'll take up violence. We saw a taste of it, a bitter taste of it on January 6th. We've seen some other attempts at assassination or physical disruption. While Northern Ireland comes to mind, it's decentralized, it's sporadic, it's politically inspired. I could see it happening in Washington, in state capitals, at power plants, at businesses, where people would increasingly act out their political agendas with violence. We obviously have a lot of guns in this country. I can't sit here and comfortably and tell you it can't happen here. If anything, I kind of feel it could happen here. I'm not predicting it will. Nothing's inevitable. That's the good news. But it's also not inevitable that it won't. And that's again why I feel really driven to start talking about obligations and what we know. And I don't think we have the luxury of being sanguine. If I may quote someone from a country you know something about, Mr. Churchill, he used to said that Americans can always be counted upon to do the right thing, but only after they've tried everything else. And yes, it's funny. It's a great line, like all of Churchill's lines. It's great,
Right.
but it's also a little bit sanguine. It basically suggests sooner or later, inevitably, the Americans will get it right. And my reaction to that is maybe, hopefully, but not definitely. And that's why, again, I feel some urgency here. We shouldn't get sanguine. We shouldn't assume that just because we're the world's oldest democracy now, we're going to continue to be a democracy or a recognizable democracy. We too have experienced what the political scientists call backsliding. We see it in various places around the world. We see Mexico going after its electoral monitoring authority. We see India going after a free press. We see Israel going after an independent judiciary. Why are we somehow so special, so different that couldn't happen here? I take it seriously.